skeletonized chapter ring is again expensive to make, and these are interesting, very, very tiny half-hour markers. A lot of the skeletonized ones are quite long in comparison, so it's very neat little clock. And this skeletonized chapter ring here is quite narrow in comparison with the width of the dial plate itself. Most chapter rings come right out to the edge of the dial plate, whereas you can see this one is well in from the side. This makes the corners larger, and you've got these beautiful, complicated, rare spandrels in each of the corners. So here we've got these wonderful, complicated spandrels with flowers outside the little cherub's head here, and really complicated wings disappearing all the way down. There's something about Knibb hands which make them recognizable from across a room. They're not just cut with a piercing saw, they've been beautifully scalloped. Each one of these swirls is a three-dimensional piece, and all the way back down the three-dimensional shape of the minute hand, and then even the boss in the middle has got 3 dimensions within the rings. Knibb had a beautiful selection of skilled people who could make such wonderful hands for him. And each one is slightly different, and yet you can recognize it across the room as a Knibb hand. And here you can see the exquisite detail in the hour hand, and then the very simple half-hour marker on the chapter ring does its job, and yet it doesn't make a great grand statement of half-hour. A lovely quiet tick, and you can actually see the recoil in the escapement for each tick that's going ahead, back, and each tick then goes back very slightly in the recoil. It's not called a recoil escapement for nothing. It actually drives the clock backwards all the way, and every tick lifts the weight, and then it goes down again for the next tick, and then up a tiny bit, and then down again. You can see the wonderful three-dimensional curving shape of the aperture for the calendar. It's not just a hole so you can see through it, but it's a design in its own right. This is typical of Knibb, that everything that is done to the highest possible quality. And that personifies to me the care and attention he put to the detail of his clocks. And so we have the lovely plain signature here now, that all Joseph Knibb's very early clocks had doggerel Latin with Londini on them to show it was of London, or when he was in Oxford, it either had in Oxford or in Oxen or of Oxen, and the doggerel Latin has disappeared now, and we've just got the plain London. Every minute is numbered on this clock. Very expensive to do, and yet looks a beautiful dial, doesn't it? Beautiful chapter ring, all in phase with itself as a holistic design. It's a exceedingly interesting clock. You've got the calendar, but you've got no maintaining power. And I always like to think that Knibb was a very, very careful clockmaker, and he had a list of optional extras, and he didn't give anything away that the customer hadn't paid for. In the same way, it doesn't have a second hand, and again I think that was an optional extra on the extra list, and the customer didn't want it, so he stuck with a beautiful clock and the dial, lovely hands, a calendar, skeletonized chapter ring, and he was a very satisfied customer.